All right, we are live. Hopefully this comes through. All right, but this is episode 81 of the Productivity Academy Weekly Q&A. It is the second of 19, and I'm on the road today. So we got a question and some info. We're going to cover the deals with traveling and being on the road and productivity, and then a couple of quick announcements. So real quick though, if you're watching the replay, that's great. If you're checking out on YouTube, you can subscribe by clicking the button below, staying up to date with these as well as other videos, reviews, and anything covering productivity, time management, automation, team building, all that sort of good stuff. And if you are watching live, you can check that. You can ask questions, and I'll get to those as we go. I'm on my laptop since I'm traveling, so things are a little bit more cluttered. So I'll be sure to circle back here and answer questions. If you're not checking out live, you can find the link below and come join us in the Real World Productivity group. All right, so first things first. Let's see. Wanted to mention that we've already got a bunch of people doing the 14-day Productivity Foundation Challenge, which is awesome. If you want to join and you haven't yet, the link is in the description, but let me put that as a comment down here. And 14-day challenge. And you can go hop in and do that. And that's if you're interested in these two main areas, which I consider to be pretty fundamental or foundational, if you will, to a good productivity framework. And that is the daily review and then automation. And I like these two, picking two things that we can really focus on and really see some real results with quickly over 14 days. And these were the two I went with. And I think that the daily review part is first because it is the most important. And I think that regardless of whether you've kind of got a routine and you might want to shore it up or see some ways to maybe improve it, or if you don't have it, and it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I've been meaning to do it, but I kind of do it sometimes, like, check it out, check out the challenge. You'll see how to kind of build it step by step so that you're getting a lot out of it and doing it consistently and how you can, again, get the most out of that. And that also had someone ask if it was possible to do with just like pen and paper, or do you need to use apps, things like that. Of course, you can use pen and paper, you can use a journal, you can use digital like Evernote or an app. You can use whatever you want. It's meant to be flexible, and I know a lot of people, even myself, I like using something written, although I do use apps then for like storage or long-term stuff. So that said, the second half of that is the automation part, and by necessity, it uses digital stuff, whether it's apps or other things to connect up and automate things. The good news is you don't need some sort of technical background in order to do this. Anyone can do it, and it's really powerful. So I really encourage some people, even if you are like, oh, I don't know, I don't deal with that, I don't want to, check it out. It's a step-by-step way that you can start to automate little things in the background that you may not even think of right now, but that can free up a whole lot of time so that you're spending your time on the stuff you do want to be doing and the stuff that makes a bigger difference for you. And then even better would be you can see how some of this stuff is done and how you even make the decision of what to automate and how to do that, and then have someone on your team do it. Or if you're not there yet, eventually have someone on your team do it. So pretty powerful stuff. The link's down there. Go check that out. So back to traveling. So this comes up occasionally, and then for myself, this is something I've had to do, is with traveling, of course, I think we all tend to overestimate, how much time we're going to have, whether it's vacation, whether it's a work trip, even just want to visit family for a day or two. I to this day still do it. I think, okay, well, I'm going to be on a trip. We have, 3 days here, 2 days here. Okay, so I can work 3 to 4 hours a day. And inevitably it's, half or 2/3 of what I think. You have the normal stuff, you have distractions, and things come up. So what I've found to be helpful, and, like I said, it still takes time, and it's still a process I'm improving, but is to have that routine down. And what I mean by that is I literally have a routine that I've written for myself in Evernote, because then I can take that little routine and I stick it onto the home screen on my phone. And so I can click that and bring it up real quick if I need a reminder. If I'm getting started in the day and I realize, hey, I haven't done my daily review, something feels off. And basically it's a truncated daily review. It's a quick reminder that I need to do a daily review and that it's okay, to not do the whole thing. I don't need, if I'm pressed for time, just to go through and do it whatever you can, because what that's doing is building that consistency. It's building that habit. And that is going to pay off in the long time. Of course, if you can afford the full 15, 30 minutes, that's awesome. But don't not do it because you only have 5 minutes. And that's what I remind myself so that I don't get stuck in that kind of like guilt trap where you're like, I'm just, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do it. And, and then you get that that rolling loss of momentum. And that's how you fall out of these habits sometimes. So that's the first part I remind myself of. And secondly, like I'm wearing my running shirt right now because I just came in from a run. It wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. It wasn't exactly as good as I wanted it to be. But again, it's consistency and getting out there and, in this case, hitting the road. Wasn't able to get on a trail today like I like to. But I got out there and got a couple miles and go for a walk later and fit in what I can. And again, I have that reminder in my routine of just like, hey, get out and exercise. Here's what your goals are, but anything is better, than skipping the day. Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Just said, thanks for the content. I appreciate it, man. And let me pull back up here, my routine. I lost my train of thought. Gotcha. The exercise, the daily review, right. And then the last two things I talk about to myself are just prioritizing and focusing. And these are kind of part of the daily review, but I have them broken out and just telling myself, remember, you're in control. You get to focus. Again, if I'm with family or I'm on a business trip, whatever it is, I can say, hey, family, or hey, whoever, I need, 10 minutes. And so long as that's not a problem, maybe put on the headphones or go in a separate room and knock it out. Set a timer, do a Pomodoro technique and, maybe use something like that. But just reminding yourself that you're generally in a lot more control than you think. And then using that idea too, when you're focusing of prioritizing. I'm on the road. I've got a little Chromebook with me. I can't do video editing, or I suppose I could. I can't imagine how painful that would be. So being honest with yourself in terms of prioritization, and then really being better about that over time. And again, all of this stuff is about consistency, and as you go, you just get better and better about this. I said I still make mistakes when I travel about overestimating time, and luckily that's something that's improved because I started doing this, whereas before I would just travel and then inevitably I'd come back from traveling and be like, geez, things didn't work out as well as I thought they would. Oh well, moving along, and then realizing, hey, maybe this is an area where I need to have a routine. As well as in circling back after trips and saying, hey, what could I do better? Not that things went horribly, but I'd like to improve this. I enjoy traveling. I want to get the most out of it. What could I do? And going like that. So let's see. Justin says, still using Timular. Yes, I am. Actually, that's funny. I decided not to bring the actual, I'm doing a horrible job here, the like octahedron thing with me because I didn't want to get it messed up in my bag. So I used a little bit on my phone, but definitely I found that the power of that thing is having it right in front of you, like having that physical object. Because I think for myself, time tracking doesn't work if it's like out of sight. So I've found that that's really the power for me of it. They've also got some really cool updates coming. I'm trying to remember what their email said. They're looking at doing some more like integrating time tracking with goal tracking or goal setting. And so it's just something they're starting to ask people about. So I'm really excited about that. Still highly recommend it if you're kind of a visual tactile person like myself. I like having that right there, and it makes it very easy. And for anyone who hasn't heard me talking about this, I kind of integrated this. You can look up Timular, but with Mike Michalowicz's book, Clockwork, and that's about kind of designing your business and how you spend your time and allot your time and working on that. So it's kind of the proper percentage. You're spending most of your time as a business. So if you're the business, then it's just you. But if it's you and your team, you kind of sum everything up, and most of it should be on doing whatever it is your company delivers. But not getting stuck in the trap of having that being 100% of the time. You need to make sure that you have deciding time, delegating time, and then designing time, the really high level stuff. And so I used the Timular device and wrote that on there along with a couple extras like learning, which is something I'm trying to devote a set amount of time to, as well as meetings or just calls, and starting to track that instead of being really granular. So for myself, that's easy. All I have to do then is decide, is the task I'm doing a doing type of thing, like something that's directly like just has to be done and is like a task in the business, or am I deciding, like, did somebody kick something back to me and do I now need to decide for them? Am I delegating? And he gets very specific about this, which I like, where it's delegating in the sense of you're handing responsibility of something over, you're assigning a project and they're taking ownership. And then lastly, designing, where you're working on the real high level stuff, like what is the business goal, what, things like that. So Alrighty, yeah. So 2 thumbs up still for Timular. Really liking it. They came up with a good UI update too a couple weeks ago. So yeah, check that out. I'll pop the link in after we're done going live. So let me see real quick if we've got anything else. All right, I think that's about it. I'm going to keep it short today, like I said, since I'm on the road. But if you haven't yet, just another reminder, go check out the 14-day productivity challenge. I think this is a good one for just about anybody, especially if you're interested in either starting or taking your daily review game up a notch, and then getting into automations. So for the second half, when I do the automation, we have one that's just set out, and you can follow it. And I think it's a really helpful one that could save you like literally a couple dozen hours. But then it's also more than that. It's the process of, hey, how do you decide what you should be automating? And then going from there. So if it's something, you're like, well, I don't want to do exactly this one, don't worry, we got you covered. You can use the process to automate just about anything. So that will do it for today. And I will see everybody back next week. Looking forward to being home and having a bigger screen and being able to go a little bit longer. So thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next week.